So I was excited, and you told me that you shot a doe, and I asked you, I was like, so is she done for the count, for sure? Or do you actually need a dog? And you're like, I'm 98% sure that she's down for the count. And that was before you gotten down and looked for blood, I suppose. And then about 15 minutes later, I get another text that's like, I actually do need a tracking dog.
Yeah. You got her, dude. She's down.
Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
Alright, everybody, welcome back to another Fall Obsession Podcast episode driven by Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Talk more about them later. I'm Sam, I'm your podcast host, and we are in deer camp again. Got a couple guys sitting here with me. Like last time, my dad Mark is here with me in deer camp, and then media production director from Fall Obsession, Nick Powell. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
So, sounds different. If you're watching the podcast video, it looks different because, again, we're in deer camp. These times at Fall Obsession, we're always trying to not only keep our content relevant, but then maintain our publication schedule and everything. And that sometimes means that we're podcasting and recording on the road. So that's where we are right now, hanging out. We got the dog here with us too, another critter making his appearance on Fall Obsession Podcast. Ranger's first one, actually. He hadn't been on here yet, but he's all tuckered out because he just got a little bit of work this evening.
Yeah, he did.
Somebody had to go and shoot a deer on Texas dirt. So tell us
Somebody.
Somebody. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was kind of a stressful evening because I didn't see anything, which I've been here since 9:30 this morning, 9:45 this morning, and hadn't seen a single animal at all. No pigs, no deer, nothing. And so it was getting pretty close to the end of legal shooting light. There's probably 45 minutes left of legal shooting light, 15 minutes left till sundown, and nothing had even come to the feeder yet. The feeder had gone off 15 minutes prior, and I had 3 does that came up to my left, making their way to the feeder, and just kind of walking through the trees, making their way there. And I was trying to get the camera because I had the recorder and everything, camcorder, trying to get the shot on video and do all the film your own hunt stuff and
do all the media things.
Yeah, trying to do too much probably. And so I was trying to get the camera and film them, and I got a little bit of footage. I'll have to show it to you, but I was trying to get footage and the camera squeaked or something. I don't know, something made a noise and she was locked on me. So I was real still, didn't move. She knew something wasn't right. So she started going around behind me to try and win me, which I'm surprised she didn't. Never blew at me or anything like that, but they were behind me, so I couldn't really see them. I couldn't see them at all because they were behind me. And I waited for a little bit to move, and eventually I got turned around a few times just to see if I could spot them anywhere. And about the 3rd time I turned around, I saw one behind a mesquite tree. And so I was like, okay, they're still there, which is what I figured because I never heard them blow or never heard them run or anything like that. So I kind of figured they were still there, which is why I stayed still. So I spotted one of them, and so I was like, well, it's now or never. I stopped worrying about the camera and was just like, I got to get turned around somehow. So the whole stand swivels at the top. And so I tried my hardest to turn as slow as I could without making any noise.
Yeah.
And got turned around. I actually had the GoPro going, so luckily I did get a little bit of footage. But got turned around, got locked on, and then once I got comfortable, got into shooting position, there were 2 of them behind this mesquite tree. and I was trying to figure out. I couldn't really tell which one was bigger, and so one of them found a hole in this mesquite tree and saw me moving. So I'm assuming it's the same one that was locked onto me before. And so she found me, so I was really still, and once she figured out something wasn't right, she started walking to walk away, and she hit a clearing, and right as she hit that clearing, I pulled the trigger, and she did the classic donkey kick, took off. And the weird part about it was once I got down, I waited a little bit. Once I got down to go look for blood, I started looking for blood, and the other two, which had run off and like run way off 150 yards plus, had already come back. And so they were already back trying to find mom or something. And so they had come back 2 or 3 times between me from walking from the stand to walking where, you know, I tried to find first blood. And so I knew that she was down somewhere, but the blood was really hard to find. But luckily, we had Ranger coming in clutch.
We had a secret weapon.
Once I found first blood, Ranger took it from there. So
Tell us about that Sam with Ranger.
So Ranger is what is he? He's half German Shepherd, half mini Australian Shepherd, an accidental breeding. Mom's an Australian Shepherd, dad's a German Shepherd. So he's got a nose on him, and we learned that pretty quick. And we got this dog with the intention of we have another dog at the house, and she's sweet and awesome, but want a companion for her, but we also want a dog that had a job. You know, we needed a dog that had a purpose.
Working dog.
A working dog. So we got Ranger here over the summer, which, looking at his size, you wouldn't guess that he's still a puppy, but he is still a puppy. He's only a few months old. And pretty quickly, my wife gets a lot of credit for it too, because she's the more of the dog trainer of the two of us. Started working with him on trailing, you know, whether it be like actually she started working with him on shed hunting, was the first thing, and then from there we started working on him on tracking and trailing and that kind of stuff. So in training and everything like that, he's been 100% all the way through all of his training and stuff. And so finally, it's here recently, it's been like, all right, I think he's good to go. Like we can give this a shot at this point. So this was our first time to actually, he's come out here to help us fill feeders and stuff before, but this was our first time to bring him out here on a hunt. And
you told us at the beginning, you said, now if you shoot something, you know, even if you could...
Yeah, because this whole first year, I'm just trying to get him experience. You know, we all know, our listeners know, especially if you're in the South, kind of the market for tracking and blood trailing dogs and stuff like that, dogs that can find wounded deer, and I'm kind of having an ambition to bring him into that point, but obviously he needs experience going into it. So any opportunity I can this first season to get him on a blood trail, I want to take it. So that being said, when we all got here this morning, I made the comment to the guys here, like, hey, if y'all kill a deer, even if you can see it from your stand, if there's a blood trail and it conveniently works, you know, for us to put the dog on the blood trail and let him work it, you know, let's do it just to get him some reps if y'all are okay with it. You know, I told you, I was like, obviously if you shoot a deer at 4:30 in the afternoon, I don't want you to wait till dark for me to come out of my stand and go get the dog, you know. But
I heard Nick pull the trigger at 5:20. I was looking up and watching when you pull that trigger. So
yeah, I didn't hear you shoot from
you were
my
pretty
stand.
far away.
Yeah, I was opposite side of the property, so I didn't hear you shoot, but you text me soon after, I guess. And you're like, you're going to need to get Ranger, or whatever you said.
Better get Ranger.
Better get Ranger. And so I was excited, and you told me that you shot a doe, and I asked you, I was like, so is she done for the count, you know, for sure? Or do you actually need a dog? And you're like, I'm 98% sure that she's down for the count. And that was before you gotten down and looked for blood, I suppose. And then about 15 minutes later, I get another text that's like, I actually do need a tracking dog.
All right, I'll probably need Ranger for real.
Yeah. So it worked out. We got him out there, and by the time we we got the dog and got out to you, you had already found some blood at that point, a little speck. So
Very little, yeah.
that helped us get him started. But he's a puppy. He's energetic, and you know he gets excited. So we had to refocus him a couple of times, but especially toward the end there, after the second refocus, he locked on, and
He was on it.
He was moving at that point. He turned what could have been a rather lengthy track job into pretty quick. For the first part of that, at least based on the blood I was looking at, we probably would have been stumbling around there quite a while looking at specs.
Yeah, because she ran 30 yards before she even
started bleeding. Yeah. So and from there it was probably about 100-yard trail when it was all said and done. And once we got him on blood, it was probably 5, 7, 8 minutes, and it was over. So
yeah, and if I called my wife to tell her, you know, the whole story that I just told, and I was like, yeah, if Ranger hadn't been out here, probably wouldn't have made it to the processor in time, because the processor closed at 8.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he did.
I got there with 15 minutes to spare, and so he saved us some time.
Yeah, he did. So he did good, and first successful real life track of many. So like I said, he's 100% in training, and he's starting off batting 1,000 in the real world. So
yeah,
it's a good start.
His reaction when he walked up.
I know, it was so funny. He didn't know what to expect, because he's used to following these trails and finding, you know, a deer leg or, you know, something else at the end of them, and he found a deer leg attached to a whole deer.
A nice deer.
Oh, he did not know.
He's huge.
He didn't bark or anything at it, but he was not expecting to see an animal of that size laying on the ground in front of him when he got to the end.
So he was appropriately cautious.
He was appropriately cautious, but he quickly realized that it was a good thing that he had just found.
Yeah.
So. He did good, and now if you're watching the podcast video, you see he's all worn out.
Oh, yeah.
He's had a big day. So, but no, it's been good. I'm glad you got a deer on the ground out here.
Yeah.
And
first one.
Yeah, we were talking earlier before we recorded about how I think this season, all of us that hunt out here combined, not all on the Texas Dirt Series or anything, but all of us combined, I think we're at 7 now for how many deer that we've killed out here on Texas Dirt this year, which is already a larger number than last year, and we still got 6 weeks of season left. So,
But we're not seeing the deer like we were talking earlier. We're not seeing the deer that we saw last year. And we're not sure why. You were surmising about drought, I think.
yeah, and I know we mentioned on the podcast, you and I recorded one in camp here recently, and not to be repetitive of that previous episode or anything, but you know, the drought we had in Texas over the summer definitely impacted that. But then we were also just talking about, and if y'all watch season 1 of Texas Dirt, you know exactly what we're talking about with the caliber of bucks that we were seeing last year that I was passing on last year, that I would gladly give anything to see again, you know. But
Might be tomorrow morning.
who knows? Maybe tomorrow morning, big boy will walk out. But all it is to say, they it's like, where'd they go? You know, that's the question we were asking, is where did they go? Because 3 of them for sure, because I hunted a lot, especially late season last year out here. I know for a fact 3 of them made it through the end of last general season. So from there, it's just, I don't know if the drought pulled them, drew them elsewhere where there was better food and better water. It's quite possible, but we're definitely not seeing those same bucks that we saw last year. And as we've mentioned on the podcast before, all the bucks that we are seeing out here are these Cole 6, 7, and 8 pointers. It seems like are pretty consistent. And we were just looking at trail cam pictures that you pulled today of these bucks that have these tiny little racks, but these big, huge bodies on them. And I've had an encounter with one of those, and it's just like you look at the body size of these deer, and it should be a 140-inch whitetail, and it's got a little thing on top of its head.
And I think we're all on the same page. Like, all of us are willing to shoot these deer, because like everything about them says mature, except for their little They're little rats.
Antlers, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, and I know we've said it on the podcast before, but the Texas regulations are they have to have an inside spread of at least 13 inches, and so it's hard to tell, on the hoof,
Yeah.
to judge them on the hoof. But
Well, I mean, and you can judge them on the hoof, but you also have to have the right perspective of the deer,
right,
and then you have to have the time to make that judgment call.
exactly.
And if you only get a forward-facing look of that buck briefly, and then you're hesitant to make that call, that could be all of the opportunity that you had
Yep.
right there going
Absolutely.
away. So, but I mean, it's the sacrifice you have to make because, again, you want to kill a legal deer. So,
Yeah,
but that, frustrations that we have out here. But granted, we have more setups this year. We have more cameras out this year. I believe that we're seeing total throughout the whole property, camera intel combined, we're seeing more deer than we saw last year, as far as what we have shown up on our cameras. But it's definitely the quality of the bucks has decreased from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah.
Year, so.
I've yet to see a hog out here though. too.
Really?
And I know y'all have. I know you've killed hogs too already, and your dad's killed a big one, and I've
You
yet to
killed a
see
big
one.
I
Too.
could want to.
Yeah, I haven't seen one this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never
Have y'all
thought of
seen it? I mean, I'm wondering if the number of hogs, if we have the density as we had before.
I think that it's more, maybe not, I don't know if the density has changed, but I think that I just think that they're more consistent this year. Because last year, the later it got in hunting season, in fall and into winter, it got drier and drier and drier out here.
Okay.
And the pattern that I noticed was the drier it got, the less hogs that we saw last fall. Because we had, like, when we first came out to look at this property in the summer, like, you'd be driving down the main road and you'd see herds of pigs running across the road.
Right.
And then, you killed a hog last year, but then it kind of after that point is when I started seeing less on camera, and it didn't seem like there were as many pigs running around, and it coincidentally got drier at the same time. This year, despite the drought, it's like you couldn't, at least down the south end of the property where we bow hunt, I didn't feel like you could turn the pigs off. They were at the feeders every night, sometimes all night. It was just they were always there. And then we brought Todd out here in the summer, and he killed a pig, and he had some encounters with hogs down here, which is the goal with his hunt. But I killed the big one, and then what I talked about in our last podcast together, killing skunk out here too, that other pig. So
We have water holes on the south end too. I don't think you have many on the north end.
well, we have 2. They're more toward this side, like out where your stand is, farther on the east side. There's one that's somewhat close over there, but it's not. You can't see it from your stand or anything like that. But it's. I don't really know what to attribute the hog activity to. It kind of ebbs and flows.
It could be because I feel like last year we saw a bunch, we only killed a few, and then this year it seemed like we were seeing a bunch over the summer, and we've killed a lot, and so maybe they're just wising up.
We have killed more pigs, and I've always heard a rumor that if you kill the boss hog, the rest of them will disappear and leave that area,
Yeah.
whatever that area is defined as. I don't know, but
That's what we did.
well, I haven't, like that big one, for example, that I shot. He was with a herd of pigs and sows, piglets and sows, and out here the boars travel in singles or pairs. And I've never been on a property where I've seen that before, but that's how it is out here. It's been consistent like that for 2 years now. But he was with a group, which made me think that one of those sows was in heat. But since then, I haven't seen a group of pigs. Here and there I might have gotten a picture of some, but it's still mostly been these medium to large size boars that I have on camera showing up at all stands at random times. No real pattern to them. And then I had an encounter last time we were out here with one up here at the Rocky Top stand. It was That's what we named it. But
Mhm.
just was gonna shoot him. He was a big hog, but swapping out my deer arrow with my pig arrow made a little too much movement, and he was already on edge with the wind swirling. So
Yeah, when I shot my big one, he was alone.
yeah,
He was all by himself.
yeah, it's weird. Every property that I've hunted over the years, I've always just all pigs have always just traveled in herds,
Yeah.
in packs, whatever you want to call them. I don't
Generally,
even
yeah,
know,
for sure.
but this
Sounders.
The what?
The Sounders, that's what they're called.
Is that what they're called?
A group of pigs is called the Sounders.
That's right. You looked that up on a podcast a long
I
time
don't know why
ago.
I just remembered that.
Sounders?
A Sounder. Yeah.
Never heard that before.
That's what a group
That's
of pigs
like-
is called.
Dang, you just dug back into like podcast episode 11.
Yeah, that was like
I'm pretty sure
13
about
or
that
something
one.
like that.
Yeah,
way
it was,
back there.
It was like
Wow.
very, very beginning of our podcast. That was a long time ago, but I do remember that now.
Mm-hmm.
Sounder. I learned something today, so that's cool. But we're out here. We're having a good time. It's hunting camp either way, and I know we wanted to touch on that too, and kind of good to tie it in with throwing it back to podcast 12 or 11 or 13, whatever it was back then. But you know, we're 130 something episodes into our podcast now, and I know we have a lot of new listeners starting to hang out with us and make us a part of their normal podcast schedule, with us being on the Carbon TV network and everything, and we are very grateful for that. Thank you all. But this is what we try to do. We try to put relevant content on our podcast, relevant to the season, the time of year that we're in. It being deer season, as I mentioned at the beginning, you'll catch us in deer camp sometimes, and we want those episodes, even our normal podcast episodes, to be a casual, laid-back conversation that our listeners just feel like they're sitting here in deer camp with us, you know, that they're just a part of a conversation that is taking place. And that's kind of the down-to-earth feeling of Fall Obsession podcast. And I know that we've come a long way too, because you and I, we've been doing the podcast thing since we kicked it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember both of us going into every episode with, oh, we gotta write notes. We gotta have pages of notes. You know, you'd have your computer, I'd have mine. We'd have all these notes and all these talking points and everything laid out. And we were all official and everything.
So official.
And now I can't remember the last time I wrote notes for a podcast
No.
episode. We get some guests sometimes. They're like, well, can you send me some talking points? And so I'll draw up talking points for them and everything. And you know, for their sake, I'll try to follow that lineup and everything to help the conversation flow, you know, just to give them an idea on what we're talking about. But other than that, we dive in with a topic and we go with it.
Yep.
And it's been working out pretty good at this point. So
And maybe we can ask our listening audience, the deer we've killed out here have no ticks.
oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So maybe someone could tell us why, because I know property we've hunted before, they're covered with ticks and fleas and all, but the one you had to kill tonight and the two I've killed this year, there's not a single tick on the deer.
Yeah, I have not consciously made that realization until driving out here today. You mentioned that to me, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? That's right. I have not seen a bunch of ticks on any of our deer or anything. So.
Do you find that true on your other property that you hunt? I mean, do you?
Well, we've only killed one deer there, so we don't have a whole lot of examples to go off of.
I'd be curious to ask your dad, you know, any kills that they've had if they've seen ticks.
Yeah.
So
I'll
maybe
ask him.
that, because I've not seen any. So maybe listeners, if you know, can tell us why. We'd like to know.
Yeah,
for
if you're watching the podcast video or listening on whatever platform, head on over to our social media page and the post for this episode, or if you're watching on YouTube, in the comments below, if you got any ideas on that, send them over, because we're very curious to hear some input on that. So, but another successful hunt in the books. Hopefully.
And you said Todd killed today too, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sure
Yeah,
did.
we were dragging Nick's deer. I think we had just found it, and we were starting to drag it out, and he texted me or something, and picture of a big old doe that he had killed. He texted me in the stand actually, saying that he shot a deer, and then sent me a picture of a big old doe. So it's been as Todd and I have already discussed in last week's podcast, It's been a stellar year for the Fall Obsession crew
Oh, for sure.
as far as laying down deer. So we went 12 days, I believe, at one point where somebody killed a deer, mostly bucks, every single day.
Yeah.
Across the country on all staff members combined. So it's been a
Very
good year.
impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Legendary,
Legendary.
dare I say.
There you go.
Well, for our listeners, we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether you're streaming on your favorite app, you're watching on YouTube, or listening on Carbon TV. We appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, whatever platform you are listening or watching on, hit that follow or subscribe button and make sure your notifications are turned on. That way you guys know whenever we drop a new episode. We put out a new podcast episode every single Monday morning. Again, relevant to the time and the season. Sometimes we're in studio, sometimes we're recording with guests, sometimes we're in deer camp, sometimes it's Drew up in Minnesota that's hosting the episode. So lot of variety in the subject matter of our content as well. So fallobsession.com is the website. That's where you guys can go to find all of our content. We are a hunting and outdoor media production company, and we produce a wide variety of content from across the country. People that are boots on the ground in all these different states that hunt in these different environments. They are blue-collar hunters just like you and me, and we have content covering hundreds of different topics in the hunting and outdoor industry at this point. So explore around on fallobsession.com. There's something for you on there. Video series, wild game recipes, gear reviews, educational videos, and articles. The podcast is all on there, so go check that out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Weekly new videos getting posted on there multiple times a week. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Go Wild. Go check all of those out. And Derek and Lacey over at Ridge Rock, they are the podcast partners and sponsors. We love Derek and Lacey, and they love setting you guys up with vetted and trusted outfitters across the country. That's what Ridge Rock does. So if you're looking to book your next hunt with somebody who is guaranteed to give you a good experience, be sure that you hit Derek up. He will work with you to find something that's within your timeline, your budget, your specifications on what you're trying to do, all that good stuff. So Ridge Rock Hunt Company, go check out their website and their social media pages. We got a hunt in the morning, so we'll have to turn in here pretty soon. But,
Yeah, what's y'all's plan in the spirit of including our listeners?
In the spirit of, yes.
What's the plan?
I still need to look up the wind direction, but if I have a north wind, I will be in my tree stand. That is my plan. So
I probably plan to hunt. I hunted my stand, didn't see anything tonight. I'll probably hunt methane tomorrow, I'm thinking.
yeah.
So if as long as you've got a decent wind, it's not going to be blowing on.
Yeah, another thing we've learned out here is the wind is definitely a big factor, at least for me in my bow hunting areas. I've lived and died by it at this point so far with some of these setups. So but we're gonna take a look and evaluate and come up with our plan for the morning. So, well, thank you guys again. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you guys for sitting down and recording a podcast. And next week might be me, might be Drew. You'll have to wait and see, but we'll be back either way with another Fall Obsession podcast episode. Catch you then.
Catch you later.
Bye.